Hi everyone, welcome to PANA Brand Academy. And I'm Albet Buddahim, and I'll be talking to you about social branding. So, social branding, the first time I got endorsed with the word branding was during 2007 when I joined Procter& and Gamble. And there we were taught that, the difference between brand and product. So on products, we like some products, right? But when it goes to branding, the objective is actually to build love. And love, as we know, is irrational. But that's exactly the objective we want to do, to build a brand, like personification, and then to make sure that somehow it gives us a unique identification versus our competitor. It makes us more desirable, it makes us more distinctive as well versus competition, and it gives us why choose a brand. So in a way that a shampoo is not just a shampoo as with any other shampoo, right? Or a laundry detergent, are all of them equal? Is Tide really different versus that of Ariel and any other laundry detergent? And so for this one, we'll talk about in social media, how do we build our brands? And I want to start my talk on a perspective on the other side. What if we don't do our job well? I have been asked by the Advertisers Association to share case studies, and which I will do. But before looking into all the things that can happen great if we do our job well, what would be otherwise the other side if we don't do our job well in brand building? So here's a video on the breakup between a brand advertiser and the consumer.
Hey there. Long time no see. Looking good.
Yeah, let's just keep this simple. I want a divorce.
What now?
I think you heard me just fine.
Come on. This is me. What's wrong?
We don't talk anymore.
I just put down the mill on a TV commercial just to talk to you.
Exactly. You do all the talking. I never get a chance.
Talk on our website, can't you?
Sure. If I want to say, order this product.
See?
It's not exactly a dialogue.
What about the print campaign? You can't tell me you missed the billboard in Times Square. That was like a 200-foot tall declaration of love.
You're saying you love me, but you're not behaving like you love me. It's not genuine.
I don't know. The agency said I was genuinely being funny. Genuinely being charming. They said you would love everything I did.
Keep your voice down. You're not doing a radio commercial. Look, whether you're funny or not, it's just I've changed, and you haven't. I mean, we don't even hang out in the same places anymore. You're not even listening, are you?
Coupons. You want coupons, don't you? Look, come by the store. I got 2 words for you. Loyalty, reduction. Am I right? That was it, wasn't it? Let's just hug.
If you knew me, you'd know I don't care about that.
Know you. Sweetheart, I know everything about you. You're 28 to 34. Your online interests include music, movies, and laser hair removal. You have a modest but dependable disposable income. Am I the only one not getting the problem here?
I'm out of here.
Oh, come on. Don't be like that. Look, I'll tell you what. Come back here tomorrow. I'll give you the chance to win a Bahamas vacation. There's a small chance, minuscule, but technically still a chance. I want to be like the old days.
Right? To be just like the old days. And certainly, especially with the pandemic, it's definitely not like the old days. And when you look into our landscape today, I'm quite sure the other speakers have shared as well our statistics. So I'm just going to browse through this one. But it's important to understand and value how big is the market of the Philippines. The Philippines is one of the top 20. My last check was that we're the number 12. We're the 12th biggest country in the whole world. You're looking into a population of 910 million as of 2020. And so probably in 2021, we're around 110 million. 110 million in perspective. That's more than 4 times the whole population of Australia, which is around about 25 million. 110 million is actually more than 20 times that of the population of Singapore, and certainly several times that of the population of Malaysia. And the point here is that there's so much opportunity. Even if you look into just the internet users and the social media, we're looking into a population of 73 million. 73 million active social media users. If you look into Facebook, and if Facebook was a TV network, it will be the biggest TV network, commanding an audience of 73 million. If social media, Facebook was a telco, it will be the biggest telco, commanding an audience of 73 million. So that is just the perspective in terms of understanding how can we engage our consumers in this platform, the social media platform. And social media is actually really just natural in us as human beings because we are a very social and emotional beings. When you look into our five hierarchy of needs, we have the physiological needs, which are the basic, the air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. Then you have the safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, health, property. When that is secured, the next level is actually love and belonging. Then higher than that is the self-esteem. And higher than that is actually sharing, self-actualization, which is the desire to become the most that one can be. So if you look into the upper three, out of the five, the top three human needs are actually on social and emotional beings. And that's what's very important. When you review the breakup video earlier, you know that the consumer was asking more than just the basic stuff, more than just a coupon, more than just the fundamentals, right? The consumer was looking for a dialogue. Okay. And as we all know, the consumer is boss because without the consumer, the shopper or the customer, if they don't buy us, the brand will not exist, the business will not exist. And so we have to craft that. And here, we'll be sharing this deck with you. You can see a link to Social Bakers where you are able to really profile, understand, and look into the consumer, the shopper, right? The boss of every marketer. The boss of every marketer is actually not your immediate boss, but rather those who are willing to give their money, their hard earned money for your brand, for your product. So you have to look into what are the codes, the principles they live by, the interests they have, the platform they use, the goals they have in their life, their frustrations. And I just want to highlight that frustrations is actually one of the best sources of attention, and attention leads to an insight. Brands that they love and influencers they follow. So there's more to this, and hopefully, before you even think about social branding, hopefully you really understand well the consumer, the shopper, the customer, the end user whom you want to serve with your brand and products. After that, social branding, as you know, this is a process, right? It's a process where you start, of course, with listening. You don't right away create content. You don't right away make social branding campaigns. You always start with listening. Right? In marketing, we also call that market research. Market research is a form of listening. Way before you do the planning, you have to do the listening. You have to do your market research, your focus group discussions. And there's a way to do that on social media. And I'm going to share that with you in the next couple of minutes. And then after you have listened, you understand what is happening, you understand what is trending, you understand what is relevant. So trending is all about understanding what is relevant, what interests your target market. Okay, so after listening is the planning, right? And I'll walk you through the planning. Then once you have a plan, you will publish it. You will publish your content, you will create your content. Then after creating and publishing them is to engage your customers, your shoppers, your consumers. Then you of course have to measure. Measure in a way you can control and adjust so that you get the optimal result that you desire to grow the brand. And then of course amplify if there are certain testimonials, ratings and reviews, if there are certain reactions that actually would really build your brand, then you want to amplify that. You usually amplify it with media. You want to put media behind it. You want to put media budget behind a very good content. And then the cycles goes on again. Then of course you want to listen on how your consumer, your customer, the shopper, the end user thinks about your brand, thinks about the campaign. And aside from just thinking how they feel about it and what they would do, would they buy it? Would they talk about it? Would they recommend it? So this is the social branding process. And it's very crucial for you to understand that just about anything that we do in marketing, with you, the audience being one of the young brand builders in our country today, it's a process. In a process where it can guarantee consistency of great work, a process where you're able to know exactly how to do things and when to do things. So this is the process, and along with the other advertiser, it's always good to show rather than telling. So how can really listening make an impact to a campaign? And this is the case study of the Nestle drumstick duo, where they really have a campaign that was grounded on just listening. They have listened well, and one of my favorite books is the Seven Habits. And one of the habits, the seven habits of highly effective people, is to seek to understand, then to be understood. So first, we understand because the consumers, they don't buy just because you have a nice name. The consumers didn't buy because you had a fancy product. The consumers buy because they have a certain need that your product and the brand provides. And that's exactly what Nestle Drumstick do. They made a campaign that is strongly rooted to listening. And so here's the campaign.
Girl, I say, if only life would lead our way. Well, you and me, we'd run away to be wherever our adventure waits. And time would be a distant memory. Nobody could tell us to stay. I've been dreaming ever since I've seen you happen when you came my way. I heard your heart say love, love, love. 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 Oh, it seems awfully far for us to find at all. All these years will wash away and we'll be clean, though we'll have nothing more. I can say there'll come another day when might be enough time. On our hands, our wrinkles understand we never really wanted more. I heard your heart say love, love, love. 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 Is in my mind, 'cause all the loudest voices in the world are never right. I heard your heart say love, love, love. 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 Whoa, love, love, love.
And so does that build brand, right? By listening and consoling them. For Nestle Drumstick Duo, they know that the brand and its product is about, comforting you. It's about making you happy. It's about perking you up. Think about the times that you would consume an ice cream, right? Usually it is a celebration, and or usually it is over a heartache, right? You can see in a lot of movies, a certain character would be eating ice cream out of heartbreak, right? But and being single, and what if like it's something seen as positive way? So listen, and listen in a way that you're able to find opportunities for you to come in and for you to be valued, right? Not just to keep on saying like, hey, I know it's a great product, it's number one, but really make an impact to people. And when people see you're authentic, and in social media, in social, the way to look into it is your brand. What if your brand has a social quotient? I'm sure in a lot of you already know by now that careers are actually built on three things. Number one is your IQ. What are your skills? What are your talents? IQ. Number two is EQ. How do you handle challenges? How do you react? Do you react selfishly, or do you react professionally? And then there's the social quotient. How are you able to work with other people? How are other people find working with you? That's social quotient. And the same goes for our brand. How does our consumer, customer, shopper, end user feel and think when someone mentions the brands that we manage? So listening. In listening, we're lucky that in this day and age, there are a lot of tools. I was also lucky when I was a young marketer, where Procter and Gamble, P&G, has a lot of data. But for those who does not have that much or that many resources, you can actually now go to Google Trends. So it is a website. It's google.com/trends. And you can now see what people in the Philippines are searching for around your category. So you just visit the site, and you'll be able to know more or less what interests people, what interests in the Philippines. There's so many things that you put in the keyword, and it will provide you the volume graphs. It will provide you whether it's increasing or decreasing on certain months and days and through the years. So google.com/trends, and mind you, search is always a very important indicator of the market interest towards a certain product category, service, or service, given that it is user generated. Right? It is made by people. It is not an assumption. It is factual. So listen on what people are searching for, what they're interested. We also all know about the power of video, and that video tell better brand stories. So of course on YouTube, there's also YouTube Trends, no? And you just go to this site, youtubetrends.blogspot, and it can tell you what are people up to. As brand builders also, it would also be good if you are familiar with the YouTube Creator Studio. And there you can see what are the topics. Nevertheless, again, listen, do not assume. Do not assume that you know your consumers or customers really well. Do not assume that you really know what's happening in the market. So, as I always tell the teams that I lead or the clients that we serve, it's always better to understand the quality and the quantity, right? So yes, of course, inciting, we know that it will be pulled up from one of the interviews or one idea or probably one hypothesis. But that needs to be validated by the quantity, by the volume. And that's exactly what we're showing you here. Make sure that before we make the video, it is something that the people will be interested in. Um, uh, okay, on listening. On Twitter, we also know that this is a tool as well. It's trendsmap.com. And Twitter and all the other social media. The nice thing about this is that they actually provide you a way. Even TikTok. So TikTok, there's a TikTok business site where you can identify what our TikTokers are interested about. Which ones are trending, who is like the top influencer, and what do they talk about. So listen first before you think about anything. Don't start with your idea. You always start with your customer, consumer, shopper, and end user. So you listen to them first. right? Of course, you can be. There's a chance that your idea will be like a hit. In Tagalog, I don't know. This is Philippine brand builders. Tumama ka sa loto. Diba? You hit the jackpot. But what are the chances that you always hit the jackpot? So my tip for you, if you want more or less your chances of winning is very high, then you always start with listening. Okay? After you have done your listening, you want to do your planning. Now, under planning, what you want to make sure is that whatever you do, it starts with the brand. Whatever you do, it starts with your the brand purpose. And this is a wonderful video that L'Oreal created. It's actually just a video to remind every brand builder in the company to understand its brand value so that we communicate it properly and we can even create more on how to improve the value of the brand. So here's the L'Oreal brand video. And again, this is important as you enter planning, right? Because whatever you create, the worst thing that you can do is that you are reinforcing someone else's brand. Number one. Number two, another bad thing that you can do, or error or mistake that you can do, is people, you are just wasting your money because people, it did not drive the equity that drives the right thing, the right thought process, the right feelings toward your brand, and therefore it did not generate the response or sales. So here's about the L'Oreal brand video, um, which you should also have. Now, if the first thing you should have is to create your brand story. Okay, so that's, I would, some companies would call it their the mood board, right? Some would call it really the brand video, and that is the brand video. What the brand stands for. The brand L'Oreal is actually the number one beauty company in the world, and the brand really is all about beauty, right? There are so many campaigns it has created, but at the end of the day, imagine starting every social media campaign, every social media team, they start with that brand video. So plan, plan in a way that the destination is very clear. You begin with the end in mind. Plan in a way that uh, doesn't yield so many ideas, but it doesn't, at the end of the day, build back the brand. So planning, there's a lot of ways to do your content programming. You have quarterly planning, social media campaign planning, so many templates now. And again, we are lucky to be in an age where a lot of things can be just simply Google search. So because they can be Google search, no need for me to expound on them. You can definitely easily search so many content planning templates that you can either free, you can download it on SlideShare, and you can also some of them are for a very small fee of like $100. So plan, right? But hopefully before you plan, it's coming from a listening because you want that the content is something that would resonate uh, to your consumers, shoppers, and end users. And you don't want to assume that it would work, right? What you want to do is that you know it would work because the consumer, customer, shopper, end user told you, right, that they are interested into it. So after you've done your planning, the next step is publishing. And I saw the transition of the industry. In the old days, branding, we are so in love with ourselves, right? In love in such a way like, oh, the fonts can only be this way, and the artwork needs to be done by someone whom we are really sure is guaranteed and trained by our brand to do such amazing work. But I'm sure you've heard of user generated content, and one of the best companies that are very good at publishing and making things public and making things it easier for people to share, right? Because the magic of social media is the word viral marketing. A display ad will never go viral, right? Well, maybe it can under certain circumstance, but it's actually easier on social media to share things, to expect that people will share things to the next person. And even as a company, as a direct selling company, understood that, and it made this social media asset that can be easily shared. And in fact, this effort made all their assets now easily shareable. So imagine the so Avon sells its product using brochures, like it's a 50 pages little notebook or brochure that we call it, and it has all the products. Now imagine that now in able to accessible to every Avon lady, and they can push the products that they want, the products that they bought from the branch, and now available with them in their network, right, in their social media network. So look into this, no, a whole campaign actually rooted on just one of the steps, just on publishing.
Social media is a powerful tool. It helps us connect quickly and easily. Every minute, people are chatting, viewing, searching, and sharing content with their friends. Did you know that social media can help you promote your business? With the Social Media Center, you can get the latest Avon content. Sharing lets you engage your customers beyond the brochure, which can help build your business. Customers can shop from you anytime, anywhere. Make it beautiful.
So make it shareable, make it social, right? And that's whole discipline is about publishing. Okay? And it's not just about putting out the content you like, but making sure it's the content that your consumer customer would like. You also have some power users, right? Power users are those end users, consumers, whom we know has a huge network that when they like something, it can impacts other people or it makes other people follow and share it as well. Some would call them these power users as micro influencers. So think about it. How can you make all of your content, your amazing content that you're so proud of, content that your creative team has invested their time and talent to create? How can that be now in the hands of the consumer? And this is also one of the best things that our Department of Tourism has done, right? Via their agency, Department of Tourism. Remember that it's more fun in the Philippines, like commuting. They give you like a filter or a border, and you just put in your photo, and it made people really appreciate the brand and made themselves more identify with the brand, or in this case, identify with the Philippine tourism's tagline, it's more fun in the Philippines. So publishing, make it public, make it shareable. Publishing, of course, there's a lot of tools nowadays. There's Sprinkler, there's Hootsuite, to make sure that your posts are scheduled. Aside from, you have certain posts that would react to certain seasons. So some brands are very relevant when it rains or when it's summer or during certain holidays, right? Or during certain days like Mother's Day, Father's Day, or Christmas. So you want to publishing is about scheduling, right? But the case study I showed you earlier, what if the publishing is not just done by you? Because we understand that you can post every hour. That may overwhelm the consumer, and you may become and mark as spammer. So think about when you're publishing, what if the post, more than just you, is actually something that your end users will do? So remember the one in Avon? Imagine all of the posts. So what if you don't have to even select one, and you made that the whole social media available for your consumers or influencers, right? Or key stakeholders to become really part of pushing the company brand, right? But it gives them power. The scheduling is on their end rather than we're the one dictating that. Of course, the other argument is we have to strike balance. Right? So publishing is really about that scheduling and pushing out the content. After you do publish, so again, we started with listening, then you do the planning. You have to plan, how it's going to look like, how you're going to make sure the whole plan is cohesive and coherent. In Tagalog words, paano yan, tuhog, di ba? A favorite phrase of our creative lead, Cheese, no, Mendez. So after you have published it, right, the content is now out there. The job doesn't end with publishing, right? And then you just watch. No. Actually, when people comment, they actually expect that you would respond to it, that you would like it, that you would reply to it, right? And this is also exactly what Milo has done in Malaysia, right? So again, you want to communicate value, but communication is a two-way process. Otherwise, you are just announcing things. But you want to leverage the power of social media in a way that it can do a two-way communication, a one-on-one communication, in fact. So to communicate value is to be part of conversations. Right? It's not an announcement, or it's not a broadcast that we used to do on television. So let's look into this case study by Milo of Nestle in Malaysia.
The rapid growth of social media has definitely changed the way FMCGs run the business. In 2014, Nestle set a goal to be the leading FMCG to leverage on social and digital media to build the brand and engage the consumer. They partnered with Rally to make this ambition a reality. At Rally, we understood that the target audience varied and consumption saw an overall decline. We restaged Milo as a content brand, as brands today are networks and content is the fuel of these networks. We needed a banner moment to re-energize the brand as a content hub. To the mass public, we started with Malaysia Breakfast Day and used digital to drive engagement and buzz as the most epic breakfast event. For the moms, Milo.com.my was transformed into a knowledge center driving key product benefit and lifestyle information. For the young adults, we developed an interactive content called Ready Breakfast Go, Malaysia's first cross-screen breakfast challenge. This first-of-its-kind innovative solution in the Nestle network of Malaysia recorded more than 6,540 page views almost organically since the launch of the campaign. There was huge buzz around the campaign, and consumer consumption saw a significant increase. Riding on this success, Nestle wanted us to restate Sejarah in Singapore and Nescafe in Indonesia. We took this opportunity to re-engineer the content to channel what mattered most to the consumer. Slowly and surely, we are helping one of the world's greatest legacies turn a new game in Southeast Asia.
Okay. So engage, to join the conversation, right? And to fuel the conversation. To make sure that we do have. So one of the things in the a new marketing team member is a community manager. How are we making sure? Because usually brand would have brand fans or brand followers. How are we making sure we always leverage this? I'm sure by now, even as young marketers, we're all aware that it is cheaper to re-engage a current customer versus acquiring a non-customer. And if you do believe that, and I tell you, you should believe that because it's after working for so many years and in so many brands, it is true, right? So current followers, fans, current customers. So, for example, how do you do that? So you want to recognize your current, right? Your current stakeholders, your current consumers, your current fans. So do fan recognitions, and maybe you really want to probably create another group that recognizes your top fans. No? Making sure you give feedback and you react to their feedback. And if they need your help, or if they ask for customer service, you are quick to respond, right? Probably during office hours or during the day, you would respond within an hour. A lot of companies now has also created chatbot, right? So why wait for an hour when you can respond immediately? It's not possible if you look into manually, but now it can be done automatically. So for example, for Katapult, we've been having a lot of our clients activate chatbots, not for the chatbot's sake, but really to make sure how do we bring down the response rate to like within 1 second, and if it is something that it's not easy to be done, it's not a frequently asked question, or it's not a standard question, then the chatbot would tell them like, okay, within 1 hour, within 1 day or 24 hours, we will get back to you from one of our customer service, or from one of the brand specialists. Okay, but join the conversation, engage. Don't just put content out there and then let it be, right? Address. And sometimes when you join the conversation, this is also the best place to gain insights, to actually get some new ideas. No? As the customers tell you what they want and what they're looking for. So after engaging, so you start with planning, listening, then you go plan your content, then you publish, then you engage once it's out, then of course you want to measure. So you want to start your KPIs. Here what I'm showing on the left side is that what's important on social branding is number one, understanding your reach, right? And then the number of engagements, and of course the number of conversion. Um, and as I would always say, reach, you want to make sure it is sufficient. Do you have sufficient reach? Are we talking to enough people? Is 10,000 enough, or do we need 100,000 to talk about us, given our current market share? Or is 100,000 enough? Do we need even more? So sufficient reach. And then the next question is a question on effectiveness. Are people clicking it? Are people participating? Because we wanted to have a conversation. Is it a good conversational topic? Are we putting out the right content? Right? Are people reacting to it? Are people interacting with it? So effectiveness. And the third one is on conversion. But conversion is also about efficiency. You want to be able to get more results from your spending, from your budget. And as you track this conversion, the cost per conversion, the cost per click, the cost per reach, what you have in mind is that you want to lower the cost so that you are more efficient, so that you can actually bring more results given a certain budget limit, right? Now, in this deck, you'll also be provided on how do you know you're choosing the right social network. There's so many social network right now. I'm sure a lot of you have been discussing in the boardroom if we should go TikTok or not. And this is actually a very easy one to identify, should we go to TikTok or not. So it's a yes or no, it's binary. And it tells you it asks the fundamental question. So if it's majority yes, then probably, right? And then, so which one do we prioritize? If a lot of them are like majority, then you go for the social network that has the most yes, right? And then you know that social media platform is the priority, or otherwise we should play in it or not play in it. Okay. So as you build the social networks and social media, remember that the easiest way to tell more information is when you put it into a story. And social media is actually a good way, right, of telling stories. And so here's a video on how to use social media and what we call this influencers, micro influencers, in telling the brand story.
For Charles Schwab, owning your tomorrow isn't about some idealized retirement. It's about the journey forward, even when great obstacles are thrown in your way. To bring these more honest stories to life, we partnered with Vimeo and found unique filmmakers working hard to own their tomorrows. The result was the most successful branded film series ever published on the Vimeo platform. Introducing Why This Road, a celebration of the unexpected paths of three exceptional people. A photographer whose life-threatening disease changed everything.
Cancer is one of the best things that have happened to me because it just stops you. My life was in fast forward.
A chef whose dreams of celebrity had crumbled.
It was a failure. I learned that maybe I wasn't meant to be the greatest owner of a restaurant.
A banker turned extreme athlete in search of a challenge beyond dollar signs.
I stopped climbing a corporate ladder and decided to succeed in trying something different.
As soon as the first video launched, the response was electric. Word exploded across social media, jumping off Vimeo by earning shoutouts from such notable figures as best-selling author Brad Meltzer and Twitter super influencer Patton Oswalt, who pushed the videos out to millions of their followers. Without any paid spend, organic views shot up to over 1.5 million, with more than 10 million impressions globally. Even more, the films received the coveted and rare honor of being selected as Vimeo staff picks. But most importantly, Charles Schwab proved that just because today is fraught with challenges, with the right partnerships, everyone can own their tomorrow.
So again, stories that will make your brand relatable to your target market, okay, or to your customers, consumers, shoppers, and end users. And leveraging them, of course, you want to understand the landscape. So it's not everyone can afford a celebrity level, right? And probably because you're not a big player yet, or you're not the market leader. And so it's important to actually know that we can start below, like the nano influencers, the micro influencers, and could be told some of the social media campaigns that I have been working on were actually successful working on micro. And you can see here the engagement rate on micro is in fact very high because, as you know, micro influencers are more or less friends and relatives whom we know and whom we would love to support and encourage, right? People we trust. And again, you have this a guide to hopefully show you in terms of, okay, maybe you cannot afford the top influencers, but don't lose hope, right? Because even the micro and the nano can be in fact the right influencer for your business, knowing of course as well that the engagement rate will be high. Now, I guess it's just a matter of ensuring that the deal would be a win-win for the influencer and for the brand. So one of the ways you can win actually with influencer is something that we call affiliate marketing. Imagine the influencers being your salespeople. For your salespeople, you give sales commission, correct? And what if every influencer would become one? Of course, it has to be relevant to their identity. There has to be a match between the brand and the influencer. So again, on social branding, one of the things that you can also leverage to build your brand are influencers. And you can start with nano and micro. You don't really have to start all the way to celebrity, unless, of course, you have such a big market share that you want to make sure the person endorsing you is easily recognizable and easily relatable, right? So finding the right influencer. So if you have a guide earlier on selecting the right social media, I also will be sharing with you in this deck the ways to filter whether you have the right influencer. from topic relevance, audience reach, audience engagement, audience alignment, to brand safety, to channel choice, to content format, and of course on the partnership cost. Okay, so again, influencers, people who trust you, people who endorse you, actually will build the brand. And make sure, of course, the person endorsing it, endorsing you, endorsing your brand, is aligned, right? And it's a match. Okay. When to partner with who? Of course, you can partner directly with platforms. Lazada and Shopee are doing it now. I'm sure you, in the recent mega sale events, the 7/7 and then the 10/10s and the 11/11s, you can partner directly with platforms, right? Of course, you can also partner with agencies, right? And here I'm providing you a guide on when it is best to go straight and when it is best to go using agencies like Katapult or any other agency. Okay, there. So how do we bring it all together, right? And really about how do we build our brands on social media or how we are doing our social branding. So again, brand is really about the sum of the assets. A brand is actually when you make something inanimate, very relatable to to people like us. Right? So how do we bring it all together? Here's a case study from uh, this brand.
Stoneleigh is a wine with a unique story, but our young female audience couldn't pick it from the crowd. Our strategy was to create an experience, inspire with influences, immerse our audience, and amplify what they shared. Step in to Stoneleigh number 50, a fully immersive brand experience, breathing life into our story. With each room embodying the unique tastes and natural creation of our wine. We launched with influential partners to inspire their audiences, inviting them to host exclusive events attended by online influencers. From fashion shoots and music videos, to secret dinners, intimate gigs, and more. All creating content that developed intrigue online. We opened the doors to the experience, immersing our audience, who flocked to the house in their thousands, wanting to experience it for themselves. We took them on guided wine tours and hosted Instameets. This sparked a flurry of creative content, with our audience telling our story in unique ways. We amplified the content created, reaching a wider audience on social media. And we complemented this with our own content, building depth to our story. The results exceeded our expectations. We took Stoneleigh from being lost in the crowd to the leading brand in its category, all with a little help from Mother Nature.
So that's how you bring it all together. It's not just a single thing that you'll do. It's all of the things that you do and you put it together. Okay, and this is just for recap. So far, what I've shown you to succeed really on this social branding, you have here the principles, right? And so principles number one is about content. Okay, social media, we share content, but importantly, as you share content, it has to be in a format of a story so that you can tell more, right? Details that links between the brand and the customer consumer experience that makes the brand more relatable. Uh, Two, social media is not just about a platform where you put your ads, right? Social media is about being in the conversation, which goes to point number three. As you engage them, it kind of gives them an affinity towards your brand, right? And affinity is the start of building your relationship, and hopefully it goes up to a point where they have brand loyalty and brand love. Number four is always be holistic. It's not just about social media on its own. It's always looking into the entire impact on the business, and also, of course, how the consumers, the customer, the shopper, the end user would also define it as satisfactorily a win on their side as well. And number five, if it's important, then we should measure. And if it's important, then we should know whether we are on track and off track. And if we are off track, then we need to adjust. So that's it for social branding. And if you have questions, you can email me at albet@catapultdigital.com, and we'll be doing the Q&A in a while. Thank you.